This car's progressing, the body work, I'm just trucking right through it as I do. I pulled the engine out so I could finish off the back of this body, put in some MDF to stiffen it up a little bit and blended this one in. So it's all screwed and glued. It's nice and strong. Got through the majority of the body work, and now it's on to the details, the aesthetics. Johnny's coming out in a few days to check the progress. There's a few key things that I want to get in place before he gets here. I want to get these side pods in action. Johnny's drawing shows some pretty cool details of these fins along the side. Key design point Johnny came up with was this fin action below the fenders. It's open for interpretation. The main thing for me is to make it flow with the proportions of the car. So the outer face of the wheel width is represented in the thickness of these fins, and then it just tapers down to nothing. So a bunch of big wedge shapes. The biggest challenge in translating the drawing to the vehicle is truth versus fantasy. This car has certain proportions that, with any logic, cannot be altered. This is a mock-up. I'm just trying to get something established to work with. The reason for using these materials is that they're plentiful. I can go to the supply store and get way more. Once it's mocked up, assembled, they get coated in epoxy primer, maybe a little fiberglass on the back to rigidize it. You paint them with automotive paint, and that's the finished product. That panel on the bottom, all of a sudden it's in proportion. So you literally have this big block wedge with the fenders running through it. And now you're looking at this. And then the fenders just kind of jamming through it. That's good. Just setting up this backboard, I'm really happy with the way it gives that lowered appearance to the car. You could almost leave it as is, but I really think I could take it up another notch. I don't know how big these darts are gonna be, so I'm just gonna split this right down the center and fit it up and figure out how many, how big. Now we have this giant shape. I'm gonna go something like that, I think. What did I get myself into? Fortunately, they only come one at a time. If they ever double teamed, I might not make it up. The last thing I needed was another shop inspector. 2 shop inspectors, I'm kind of outnumbered at this point, I'm 6'2", hand of authority, and now it got double teamed on me, so we'll see how this develops. This is pretty much what I was thinking, a series of these going up the line. I think we're just gonna have 4 ribs because that's what this is dictating. I've seen this kind of style on some sports cars, 80s Ferraris, some other weird concepts, but I'm going for my own vibe on it. It's like, oh, okay, that makes me think of this, but it's unique. I see some issue here. From here, these are perfectly parallel, but when you're standing up looking at it, they're perfectly unparallel. In the first layout, it looked kind of like Venetian blinds, just lines stacked. I wanted it more like a fan, oriental fan, little flare. I'm trying to find that sweet spot, as with everything. The thing about this is the perspective of the lines has to be measured by how it feels, how the whole car flows. You cannot put a formula on it. Yeah, so that's what I was looking for. You see, that upper one flows with the fender line. Getting these fins primered like the rest of the car would really help to finalize this aspect. I gotta get the thing grayed out, then it all looks the same. The last step of envisioning is the primer, just get the thing one tone, and then it's a yay or a nay. With the white, you don't get the shadow play of this gray tone, so now you can really get a feel for the dimension of this. The white just looks all bleached out. The shadows, everything works together. It's good. Totally happy with that design. I'll mimic it for the other side, but there's bigger fish to fry. I'm working on multiple projects. I got all this board kind of fitted in. That's going to be the interior panels with upholstery on it, but I also have a really cool idea for the dashboard. Very little sculpture, all business. We need to enhance. This is what we're working with. Vintage Stuart Warner tachometer. These go on this, which is even more awesome. And lastly but not leastly, if you know sound systems from the 70s, Kraco. I don't even care if it works, it's going in the car. So look at that. Freaking floating space pods on this awesome wraparound dashboard. The basis of my projects has always been found parts. So this next step is just in that same vein. Victor didn't even look twice at this thing, so you know me. Put it in the back pocket, put it in the semi-permanent collection. He's gonna be surprised when he sees it, 'cause he's like, oh, I should have used that in another car, but it's gonna be too late. It all depends what you're going for in the end. You know, if you just put in a set of cool gauges or whatever in the stock body, hey, you get that out of it. If you want a freak show, you gotta go the full length. And that's what I need. I need a freak show dashboard. Sitting there, you can see how this is all gonna congeal. You know, it's offering a huge support visually to that tube frame. And then, yeah, with the windshield, the split windshield, we need this. I think everyone will agree it's a nice looking unit, but how are you gonna get it in there? As a great man once said, it just isn't even close to fitting. So, I'm just gonna cut it up. Here we go. I've cut so much stuff apart at this point, you know, you just look right through it. You know, a butcher doesn't need a road map to where he's going, right? He just knows the cuts, gets rid of the excess fat, and makes it happen. It's summertime for sure, so this is the old standby, you know. Not only does it portably cool, it blows the dust that way, very efficiently. With any found object, as long as you make the right moves, you can get the right results. So this is exactly where it needs to be. Now, the center comes right to here. There's plenty of room for the shifter and the emergency brake. These two pieces did not go together, and hey, now they work. Just put a couple screws to secure that. That's all gonna get fiberglassed. These are obviously not the right shape, so I'm gonna start with the center pods and then work these out independently. So you can see with a few minor pieces trimmed off, the Sterling dashboard is a perfect fit. Look at that. The success of having these three shapes fit in the car, okay, that's great. What's really gonna sell it is getting it all glassed and molded in so it looks like one piece. You know, all the center detail is retained looking like the Sterling, which is what I was looking for. Once it's all molded in together, it's really gonna sell it, but you know, when the inspectors start responding, you can see there's a little curiosity going on. I think we're on the right track. Inspector number one has given full approval and sign off on the dashboard, and now it's time to get to the details on the back end. Well, the engine intake speaks for itself. You know, these giant megaphone style velocity stacks. I want the exhaust to mimic these, so these big horn shapes are definitely gonna be the exhaust. The whole car's gotta flow together. So those trumpets, you know, the air's coming in, where does the air go out? The exhaust. Those two elements should be in the same flavor. All right, there's your custom exhaust setup. Full custom dune buggy needs a full custom exhaust. Just like anything else is gonna be made from scratch, so I ordered a whole pile of parts to get to getting. The challenge therein is to make this tangled pile of tubing and make it look like a beautiful piece of machinery. This is kind of cool. Like, what if they kind of projected from a center point like this? There's 2 and 2 right there, kind of out. For this exhaust build, you know, my main thought is that it has to look balanced. The exhaust has to complement the engine and not take anything away from the fantastic components that it's already presenting. That's what I'm talking about. That's a total cartoon car exhaust. I like the exhausts. I really want to get the taillights in place just to see how the whole thing plays. The official reproduction Mustang taillight lens. Unlike some other people we know, for me, this taillight decision is going to be real easy. Perfect. I don't think this car needs anything any more crazy than one of the old dune buggy standards. You can see, it's perfect. I'm kind of a make a decision and stick it guy. My mind's made up. This thing is totally freaky, funky 70s style. This is exactly right. Johnny's coming out in a couple days. There's a lot more to be done as far as assembly and finish work, but those 2 taillights, those 4 exhaust pipes, that's the look. I need to finish up the exhaust on the other side, but there's one more key component I want to get established before Johnny comes back. Duplicated the exhaust concept on the passenger side, did a bunch of finish welding, and now it's clearly represented. And there'll be some finish work just in, finishing the welds, but that's the look. It came out really cool. Even though the sheet metal megaphones are uncharacteristic at the end, these end caps make it look like the laser gun. It's just a good effect. What it needed was that little center engine, it looked like it was wearing a backpack. And now it's got freaking claws. Looks like it's gonna grab something if it backs up. This simple design was really effective in completing that bulked out rear end. The rear end is fitted out for sure. The one thing that's missing is this windshield. This concept of the floating roof will really be cemented when you see the windshield mounted here and there's nothing attaching. In other words, no A-pillar attachment. There'll be no check and balance from here on out. I'm gonna have to do some modifications to this, so I don't wanna just stack on top of the primer. I wanna get right down to the base material and build off of that. So what I wanna do is take that big sanded out surface, and then I'm gonna sculpt it to look cooler. Right now it's on a shelf, it's like this. It's gonna be a flat plate, it's just a stamp, one shot. This is just establishing the height for the center post to sit. I know a couple tricks that will help me just go through the process efficiently. You set that and push it flat. Critical thing is I gotta get the center pillar looking parallel with the roof support. Ha-ha! Is a flat surface. All we were trying to do is just create that flat pad that sits on. That's the height. The process with this is one step at a time. Get your center centered and then figure out what the angle is on one side and then follow through with the other. Really the best way is to eyeball it because you can see clearly, when you're down the line, if they're like that, there's gotta be parallel. You may be asking yourself, how is he possibly gonna get all those things at the same height? Got these epic sanding discs from 3M. I mean, come on, you didn't think I was gonna not customize every last thing. There you have it, 4-foot block sander. Look at that, you sand it. He has that look in his eye. I didn't say it was gonna be professional, but it works. The purpose of mocking up the windshield is just like everything else, a 3-dimensional, full-scale representation of where you're going. The end result of this is still yet open. You can do a traditional clear glass, you can do Lexan, colored glass, colored Lexan, tinted, anything goes. Really happy with the way this windshield progressed. Still some final details, like everything else, but definitely enough to show Johnny, and I got some plans. This is where we're at, man.
Nice.
It's a little bit different than it was last time.
Wow, man. It's unbelievable. I walk in, and man, it looks really, really cool. Dude, look at the dash.
That's that Sterling dashboard from the other supercar that Victor and I worked at.
And this is so sick.
Yeah, we didn't discuss that, that's right.
Last time I was here, everything was pretty much attached with sheet metal screws or drywall stuff, and we were just kind of tacking things together, and now it's a full solid body. It came out better than I thought it was gonna come out. I can't stop looking at this part.
I got the engine from this guy, Tom. He saw the car, he saw some pictures and fell in love with it. I don't know what the deal is yet. He may be a potential buyer for it. When Tom came down and saw the car, he brought the engine. He's talking about a trade or buying the car. He's only become progressively more fascinated with the project. He shows up with this Cobra gas.
Oh, sick.
This is a flower pot. It's a plastic flower pot.
Yeah.
Look at it, right? I just put a wood board inside it and cut off the back.
I love it.
All the pieces are here, Our mission is to nail this paint scheme. I'll mount up these tires and then, the sky's the limit, dude. Just as crazy as these components are, paint job's gotta be that big and better. I'm gonna let Johnny ruminate on his paint idea for a while. I've got an idea for these rims. I wanna try it out before we mount the tires. I got this cool media blaster from Eastwood. I've been using it on everything. I got walnut shells in one side and then sand in the other. These rims are way cool, but I have an idea. I don't want to make them look like fully polished, way too shiny. And I think if I just give the misting of the surface, these rims are going to look frosted, and then I can detail out the highlights. So it's like you got your satin, and then as soon as the shine comes around, you start to get your blips.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
So, any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on that paint scheme? It's been 5 minutes. I figured you have it worked out.
Yeah, no.
On the way to the shop, we picked up these new rear tires. They're 295 60-15s. It's got a 12-inch wide tread and about a 28-inch tall diameter. They're gonna be way cooler on this car. I can't wait to see what they look like. Before we can get these rims on the car, I gotta set up some wheel adapters. I have a pair, and I think I can do something to make them work. 5.5. Pop right back in. Aha! Yeah. Look at that. Look at from the back. Look at the two side to side. The way the exhaust plays on this tire is way better.
That makes that fender make sense.
Yeah. This was a total relief because with the engine and exhaust developing, you know, these tires make the rear view complete. So, it's been 8 minutes. Any thoughts on that paint job yet? I like the fact that Johnny's a little nervous. You know, I like pushing his buttons, keeps him on the edge, keeps him creative. So, you know, we're into the paint design of this, and, you know, it's got to count.
Yeah, so as I'm looking around the car, it started worrying me a little bit. You know, can I come up with something that's going to work? Yeah.
Johnny's feeling a little uneasy, but I'm confident. Everything's in place. All the elements are here. You got some great ideas. You're throwing down some great ideas. Let me get this thing into primer like right now, and tomorrow we are ready to rock. We'll start designing it.
Okay.
At this stage of the game, I'm feeling energized. You know, it was a big hurdle to jump to just get to this point. I mean, I've got a lot of ideas. I'm looking forward to see what Johnny comes up with. I got another coat of primer on the car, and it's ready to lay out the paint scheme.
What I'm seeing is every time I try to do something different from the old drawing, it just doesn't.
There's something magic about that simple two-tone.
Yeah.
You know, with this fading and everything, you don't want to draw too many lines on the car, I don't think. Like, look at the VW bus.
Right.
It's perfect.
Simple.
Yeah, the thing is about these cartoon hot rods, you know, we designed the Johnny 5 together, we're designing this together, so, you know, they could be pals in a universe somewhere else. They would be hanging out together for sure. Strangely enough, the exhaust sort of feels like that. The side panels sort of feel like that. Now we got the giant tire. Maybe we just make it look like you're drawing instead of trying to come up with something crazy.
Right.
You know, I'm kind of sticking up for Johnny's initial inspired paint scheme. You know, maybe we don't need to go so wild. The thing about his first idea is that it doesn't translate so well to the true body shapes. I mean, just first thoughts. I love this white panel coming to the little spear right here.
Right.
So what if the white followed through and it came around and then kind of hooked up? It doesn't need to follow this line, but it came up and you had two jutting spears like that.
Ian, like, immediately starts seeing a lot of lines that I wasn't really totally seeing. And he starts laying some pinstripe tape down, and immediately these really cool spear shapes started showing up. I just think that's his thought process. There's never not a way we can do this. Less is more.
And we're coloring outside the lines, which
sure.
you get extra points for. It's like body line? No, we're just gonna
No.
match
We're
them.
making our own line.
In a panel paint job, you typically follow the body lines, but the exciting part about what we're doing is we're coloring outside the lines. You know, we're trying to hyper exaggerate some of the features on the body. Well, this is the line. If you were a panel painting a car, you follow these lines.
Right.
This edge. But we're not doing it like that.
Going optical.
See, so this blue tape is blue paint right through there.
Yeah.
So the blue here, if this is white, what does this do? Come around?
Yeah. Or maybe even go.
See, this is exactly why. This is nothing I would have ever thought of. Bam, all of a sudden he starts to fire on all cylinders. He's like, break the paint line across the dashboard like that and look at the effect you get. Like, Exactly, right. That's why you're here, to break it across the top, and look at that weird
There's
shape.
another blue spear.
Right, so this is blue.
Yep, blue.
Right.
Then there's a spear of blue going through it.
Right. Johnny's idea about the lines on the hood really complements the little spear thing I did on the side. So I'm gonna go back, tighten all the lines up, and then, then it's ready to spray. But feeling really confident that our collaboration is gonna pan out.
What about doing white on the undersides of the kick-ups? Remember the old mud flaps?
Right.
Where it was like Yosemite Sam and the back off? We do that underneath, but not mud flaps.
Right, on the fenders.
On the fenders.
Yes, 100%. So blue, white.
Right.
And then I'll get some kind of cool font.
Yeah.
This is exactly what the car needed. That one thing where you're walking around, you're already blown away, and then you're like, it's the punchline at the end of the story. I'm doing that 100%. Right, and then the exhaust is like the guns.
Yeah.
And we'll put a mustache on the engine. It'll be perfect.
He's like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we do that? In fact, let's make it as big as we can. I can't wait. That's like now like one of my most favorite parts we're gonna do to the car. Is that silly back off thing on the back. These damn vomits, back off. Gigage.
Before Johnny leaves, I want to get this car basically where every design element is nailed. There's one last thing I want to show you, and that's the interior.
Okay.
I started making a couple panels out of this masonite,
Right.
but the missing link is that center console. See, now that it's not in the car, you really see that there's two separate pieces.
Yeah, okay.
So what I want to do is, just like your drawing, I want to show two separate pods.
Right.
I want that wall to continue right up to the back. That way, the driver and the passenger are never rubbing elbows.
Okay. Ian's already got a really cool aesthetic inside the interior of the car, which is this really cool grab handle thing that kind of flows through the center of the car. And I'm like, let's just riff off that piece.
I noticed an element of Johnny's drawing that showed this center console aspect between the driver and passenger seats. I set up the dashboard for that, in that the Sterling had that unit that came down into the shifter area. I just wanted to see what Johnny was thinking about how this wall between the two people is going to present itself. I have my ideas, but I'm always interested in what he's going to bring to it. Here's the board, draw out what you're thinking, let's do it.
It's totally the shape I was thinking.
I was reading your mind. I love it. Let's see how it looks. Dude, you're a freaking genius, man. That is the eye of an artist.
Like, please tell me he's not gonna do that. I love all of Ian's over-the-top ideas, and I was like, I hope he's not serious about this one. Yeah, I don't think so.
You always got to keep him guessing. He might have thought that I was serious about doing that, but that's why I left his line in place. All right, let's try the
If that's your
conservative.
vision, I'm with it. If that's your vision.
Let's try the conservative look. Oh, I see what you did there. Look at that. Whoosh. You got an eye for this, man. Yeah, so this tube will only grow out of the center console
Right.
right here, and that's hidden. You trace that, and I'll make another one. This always looks so much easier on TV. In the end, I want these upholstered, so once again, this is not only a mock-up, but it's the structure that will be upholstered. All right. That was the thing, I just wanted to have the look that we both agreed on.
No, that's gonna work.
Yeah, I want to show you one thing. You know those fiberglass seats we saw at the swap meet?
Yeah.
Well, I actually found a pair this morning. These are cool because they're vintage. You don't really see them with the white seat covers. These seats are the classic low-back dune buggy seats. We're going with a blue base coat. These had blue pinstripes sewn in them, so this will be the theme for the interior. And, I got a bunch of white vinyl, so I'm just gonna do it very simple, white vinyl interior. Now it really fills in that big cavity, So see the center console, as bulky as it looks, it's really not bulky.
That's just right. Those fit just right in there too, right at the lips.
So you have the pod of the dashboard, and then the seat back, and then the little flipper fin on the roof. The driver has his controls and whatnot. The passenger's separated by a wall, and he's the DJ. He's got the stereo, and he's in his own chair. The good news is all of that crazy, hard, dirty work is behind us, and now it's on to the details.
Yeah, so we step back, we look at the finished project, all the ideas that we've come together. Again, it's it's the next step of the mock-up. We've already mocked up once, now we're doing the final mock-up, it appears. Whatever Ian's gonna do while I'm not here, it's gonna be next level coolness. So I wish I could imagine what it's gonna be like, but it's Ian Russell, you never know.
It's come a long way, baby. Now all that's left to do is everything.
I can't wait to see it done.
It's happening. Really appreciate Johnny being here. He always brings in a fresh element to the design. There's still a ton of work to do, but we've crossed the threshold. So we came in, we nailed the key elements we needed. All I could say is by the time this thing is finalized, there's a few more awesome surprises coming.